the dimensions of you. Yes, there's more than one dimension to you. The main three dimensions of who you are largely the physical dimension, which is the dimension of your body. The second dimension is a dimension of your psyche, which is largely an aggregate of your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your memory, and your experiences. And most people largely remain in that. They stay there until the day that they're dying. But there's a third dimension, a dimension of higher self, a dimension of your soul. And this dimension offers a vertical transportation into higher potentials and higher outcomes. This position is a position of the observer. This is the unmoving self that is seeing the world without judgment. You see, when we look with our two eyes at any situation in the world, we immediately begin to judge. We see movement, and so we judge that movement, and we do calculations. We see color, we see differences, we see contrast. And this creates a separation between us and the rest of the world. And the ego starts to try to protect us from the outside world. So there's a judgment on it, a good, a bad, a better, or worse, placed on everything that we see. But if we can look with our third eye, if we can look through the power of perception, without judgment, we can find a greater dimension. And this dimension is a dimension of simply observing, being the observing witness of all the events that take place in the world. You see, this place as the witness is very important, but in order to reach this dimension, we have to transcend the prior two dimensions of the physical self and also the psycho-emotional self. And if we can get underneath these other two dimensions, we can get to a dimension that has no border, that has no limitation, that is not bound by time, that is not bound by space, that is not bound by position. You see, the self has no religion, it has no politics, it doesn't judge at all. As the witness, you are the observing self and reach the dimension of presence, which one can only reach through divine grace. Will you remain stuck in the dimensions of your psyche and the dimension of your physical self? Or are you willing to go beyond? Because that's what it's going to take to reach the layer of greatness that's awaiting you. There's a whole nother reality that's available to you if you're willing to stretch yourself, if you're willing to look without judgment, if you're willing to surrender to love, surrender to life, and surrender to God.